real or not? Cap or not? That's the question.
Why is that dark? Okay.
Yo.
God, no! No!
I mean, that was a dangerous game. You guys let me know. Should the insurance pay for it or not? When you play with wild animals and you found out. Sad story, but what's going on with the lime juice?
Oh my god. Later.
Oosh.
He's gonna look for eggs because he's saying that that's the cure.
Those people are working hard for our bananas.
The spider was defending the eggs. Oh.
I bet Andy's first time.
Let me show you something here about authenticity. And you guys tell me what you think about this. Can you see those sunflowers? Sunflowers have a thing called heliotropism. They face the sun and curve their face towards the sun every day, all day, every hour to absorb the sun. Can you see there? Yeah, they got their face turned away from the sun here. Now, if you look up over through there, you can see the beans and the corn and all that kind of stuff. And they don't have much choice. It's either grow straight up or fall down. But these sunflowers have a completely different mechanism. And for some reason, they don't like the sun. I don't know what's causing that, but I'm inclined to say that the very people that took down my videos also might be responsible for this.
Something's
I
up.
don't know that to be the truth, And I have no one to point a finger at. But I do know that these sunflowers are not facing the right direction. This is a farm boy. Let me know what you think about that.
Yo, that's a hell of a ride. Like nothing. Back on track.
Should a 10-year-old be able to purchase cigarettes?
No,
Should a 10-year-old be able to purchase a gun?
no.
Why not?
You can't make that decision at that point.
She's logic.
They don't understand the complexities of it, and they are not. Their brain isn't developed to the point that they can make a decision like that.
Okay, absolutely. Okay, should a 10-year-old be able to decide if they are a boy or a girl?
I don't know.
Oh, now she doesn't know.
Why not?
I think this is such a complex issue, and I've seen both sides of it. I don't know the answer to it.
Have y'all seen what I just saw? They are saying, they're reporting that 80,000 people at a Travis Scott concert caused an earthquake. That's not what I think it is. I can't show you an example on this platform, but I can tell you that is a warlock. That was a giant chant, and they were literally casting spells, and when everyone went together, they all matched their aura at the same exact time. This is the same kind of crap we see at the Grove. Almost identical. Y'all, it's a ritual. It's a satanic ritual. And people that try to deny that he's a warlock, I don't even have time for y'all no more. When the end arrives, it's really the beginning. The true dystopia is here. Know what lies beneath the surface? Did you forget his hell invite? It's literally a painting from the 1500s called Christ in Limbo. Like in the same concert when he created that portal. That earthquake was literally God because he's angry, or because the magic these people are doing. These guys aren't even coherent right now. It's a trance, a mass trance.
Does someone own Frankie Valli's soul or something? Because who's forcing this man to still be performing at 90? I'm pretty sure at one point he even forgot where he was.
Yeah, he's getting too old for that.
I mean, I love me some Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons, but at this point, it's almost like you're watching an animatronic Frankie Valli with these lip syncs. I don't think you need any proof to know that he's lip syncing. But check out this clip from a few months
Why
back.
is
Whenever
he
I
still
watch
on
it, I feel like
stage?
Frankie is staring into my soul or something. It gives me nightmares.
If it's a prank for views, that's a good one because all the candles are still on. So we'll light them up.
Well, guys, let's talk about demonic possession and entity attachments via alcohol. Have you ever wondered why alcohol is ingrained in society? Think about it. You finish work, you get drunk. At the weekend, you get drunk. You get married, you get drunk. Someone dies, you get drunk. It's so normalized, yet it poisons our body and it opens us up to spirits. That's why we say drinking spirits. That's why they call them jinn. Jinn are demons. What do we drink? We drink gin and tonic. The word alcohol is derived from the Arabic word al-ghul, which is a demonic spirit. So every time we get drunk, we alter our consciousness and we become open to be hosted. This is why people don't act the same. People say you weren't like you normally are. Well, that's because they have an entity working through them. We need to stop with the alcohol, guys.
Things I find most striking is the presence of Antarctica on ancient maps, because we didn't discover it until 1820, and yet it's on maps drawn in the 1500s with great detail, which again were based on much older source maps that have now been lost to us. The astonishing thing is the so-called Pinkerton world map. It just shows a hole where Antarctica is. A Wolsey-Wooler world map drawn in 1530 or thereabouts, you find Antarctica is present. Gerontius Phineas map. That map shows Antarctica exactly where it should be. There's Antarctica at the tip of South America, just south of South Africa.
And what did they call it back then?
Well, they call it the Southern Land. And it's larger than it is today, but it was larger than it is today during the Ice Age. Antarctica was a much bigger. Now, what the fuck is it doing on a map drawn in the 1500s, which we know was based on older source maps when nobody knew it existed in the 1500s? To me, the obvious answer is we are dealing with the fingerprints of a lost civilization.
Lost maps. Nah, they made them disappear.
Sugar. If you're talking about cane sugar, sucrose, I would try to limit that as much as possible, unfortunately. I gave up eating desserts in my 40s, though I do steal it from people at the table, so Serena orders the desserts for me. But really, sugar is something that is known to be toxic in the long run. It's sucrose, which forms glucose, will attach to your body's components. Your proteins will become what's called glycated, and that's known to drive aging as well. So that's why we try to not eat too much, and so we don't want to eat a lot of sugar. But there are substitutes. There's, for example, monk fruit produces sugar, which Serena has told me to try, and it tastes just as good as sugar, and it doesn't give you that spike, and that should be good for longevity. Honey is not so good in large amounts. Stevia, I think, is okay, but it's all on a scale.
But I want to show you linchpin now. Here I'm an Oscar-nominated actor that is known all around the world, face recognition, vocal recognition, all around the world. I've invented a new form of flight, tangential flight, the ability to fly around your own center of mass, something they've never been able to do. And you don't hear anything about it. It means right now, fixed-wing aircraft, you can go
Never heard
4
about it.
degrees of direction. They go up, down, some can go forwards and backward, backwards and right to left. But this is able to spin around its own center of mass. Completely spin around its own center of mass, something people are able to do it by falling, but this is a sustained system. Because this is the geometry of hydrogen, any bond that hydrogen can make, linchpin can make, and what they're basically doing is building a periodic table in front of you, and they're all following this queen as a colony, and they'll do everything that she's doing. This is 4 of them that's going to come together to pick up a barrel.
And what's powering them?
Right now, we're going to use hydrogen fuel cells. But I have another system, that I was going to talk about in a second. But it's an unlimited source of power. But,
so hydrogen fuel cells,
or you can use lithium batteries.
And how are they moving? Are those like propellers?
Yeah, those are props. But
okay.
But that right there, what we have right there is a collective pitch. So instead of the props having to turn themselves around, instead of all the props having to turn themselves around to stop and turn in the opposite direction,
like
they just switch the direction. They just so it's a collective pitch, and it changes. And so now instead of going up, you're going down. But now 5 of them will come together and watch what the 5 does with. So this is the end of cranes. This is the, and how many is necessary. And they can, since this is the fractal, they can be as small as a nanoparticle, or they can be as large as the universe, because the entire universe comes down to this.
The Domino's Pizza Institute announced yesterday that they are nearing completion of their 30-year study testing the limits of what human beings will eat.
People willingly ate everything our lab created. In fact, they pay money for it. The results continue to surprise me.
Over the course of the study, Domino's scientists have found that decreasing the nutritional value and increasing the visual repulsiveness of their pizzas only makes them more popular.
This applies to the crispy melt pizza. It's basically one pizza inverted on top of another pizza. It looks like something no animal should consume, much less a human.
One recent creation is constructed out of a cardboard-based crust layered in Oreo cookie crumbs and drizzled with a wax-like substance.
We hypothesized that the sight of it alone would repulse customers, but it became one of the most popular items on the menu.
The Domino's scientists now believe that a certain percentage of human beings may have a genetic predisposition to eat unhealthy foods made from other, even unhealthier foods. The Institute will next test human tolerance of the crispy nacho platter pizza, the big New York hot dog pizza, and the strawberries and cream pizza.
In the final stages of the study, pizzas with actual garbage. But judging from our findings, people will probably eat those too.
Dr. Moore said he initially had moral issues with conducting the tests on humans, but has since come to see the subjects as, quote, cheese and sauce consuming beasts.
I don't know what he did, but if you guys know, let me know in the comments.
Travis, watch this. Travis. Sorry. Travis, what happened? Travis. De l'autre côté, allez, fais d'autre côté. En face, allez, en face. L'interpellation des rappeurs. Travis. Reculez là. Ok. Pour répondre à l'interpellation, savoir ce qui s'est passé, les messieurs. Attention, il y a des grades.
He looks out of it.
Reculez, messieurs, là. Allez. Désolé. Hey, préparez-vous. Hey! Hey! Hey!
Like, there's nobody on that boat. Nobody on that yet. They're all asleep. Maybe too drunk.
No.
Little strange.
Many of you think that you're fighting, your past or some enemy you have in your life, your supervisor or some family member, or you might think your enemy is your wife or your husband. What you don't know is that your entire life you've been fighting demons. Now, where do demons come from? Demons come from people. Those people that you believe are your enemies are actually the ones, the conduit to you receiving that demon. Some trauma in your past from that person transferred their demon to you. That's how demons pass. All of you should go out, if you would like, on your leisure and go read the book Interview with a Vampire. In that book, they describe the vampire that turns you into a vampire. They call that person your maker, because you were human at one time, normal. You could walk in the sunlight. Then you met this monster, and this monster attacked you and hurt you. And now you're a monster just like him. That person is your maker. Well, so many of you, you've had makers in your life, your family members, your uncle, your cousin, some woman, some man, some teacher, some sports coach. And that monster turns you into a monster. What did they give you? A demon.
I don't know about demons, or maybe it's just psychological. Sometimes kids, they look up to their siblings, older siblings, and they may not set the best example. You guys let me know in the comments.
This next video was taken at a storage facility where a father owns a storage unit containing obscure vintage items. The facility is well known for being creepy, but it's the contents of this unit that's by far the creepiest. Among all things inside is a toy monkey that the father knows is worth a lot of money. Although initially not wanting to sell the doll, he now hopes that someone would buy it off his hands as soon as possible. Ever since having it, the stuff inside his unit would move on their own. Now, noise complaints would often be made by employees who accuse the man of living in his storage, but after setting up a camera to show that it's the stuff inside being thrown around, he captures this.
Ooh, creepy as hell. I'll burn it. I'll burn it.
Like something straight out of a horror movie, the toy doll moves on its own. The staff working at the storage facility were just as spooked as the man who owns this unit. He believes that this is the culprit behind the strange noises employees heard. While there has yet to be a prospective buyer for this doll, the man continues to document the monkey on the off chance that something else is caught on camera. But currently, nothing else has happened.
Have you heard of the plant called Shankapiedra?
Nope.
Know that plant breaks kidney stone
Yeah.
when they have never seen a kidney, and they've probably never seen a kidney stone, but they call that plant a stone breaker. And when you ask them, I was in South America in the jungle, and I asked them, how do you know that this plant breaks kidney stones? And they say, the plant told me.
Yeah, same with ayahuasca.
Yeah.
And the chacruna plant.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They take ayahuasca and then they speak to the plant, and the plant told them that breaks kidney stone. Every scientist will tell you this is ridiculous, folks medicine, it's worthless, until they did a study on 20 people and they saw that all the kidney stone fractures into millions of pieces and you pass them without any pain. For me, ancestral knowledge, tens of thousands of people for centuries, is so much more valuable than a study.
Would you wear a clothing line whose marketing focused on phrases like armor of the night, or who said our homes were digital battlefields? Singer MIA created a clothing line that did exactly that. MIA is selling product that have people all over the internet raising their eyebrows. A $100 tin foil bucket hat. Yes, you heard me right. Tin foil hats, like what we've seen in the movie Signs or in shows like Better Call Saul. The Health News team recently published an article where we looked at MIA's clothing line and found that the products contain pure copper nickel shielding fabric, which protects people from electromagnetic waves caused by Wi-Fi or 5G. The World Health Organization says that there are no adverse health effects that can be casually linked to exposure to wireless technologies. In fact, all objects naturally emit waves as part of their regular thermal emission. This means rocks, trees, buildings, dirt, all contribute to our minimal exposure. The clothing brand website itself states that conspiracy theorists could potentially be wrong, but if they're right, then the clothing brand could save humanity.
The world will begin again.
Uh-huh. What else did you say?
Other people will come on the world.
Okay.
That's what I said.
Well, what was the other part?
What other part?
About everybody dying? What were you saying?
More people will come on the earth.
Okay. Why did you think that?
Because
Oh. When I die, I will come back
Is she talking about reincarnation?
a baby, and I'll have a different name.
Yes, sir.
Okay. You'll have it. Okay. So that's what I said. All right, thanks, babe. What I have to say, and it's sad. Yeah, it does sound sad. I had to say something sad. Okay. So that's why she's talking. Okay, thanks, babe. Okay.
You think I'm filming a movie? This ain't no movie. This is reality right now. This is really happening. Now I'm finna get tacos out this spot. But you see, this car ran through the GM's restaurant. Then it's trying to run through the other side of the wall. I ain't filming no movie. This is real. All this shit real. Too many damn cops outside.
Only in LA.
They all sitting there waiting on this thing to get out. This dude got the pump ready to pump this. Oh, he almost threw the wall. They about to blast him, fool. Bro, just stop. They about to.
Okay, watch this, y'all. This man, he called his boss asking him, why didn't y'all tell me they had a new employee, right? He constantly looking back, right? He talking to somebody, right? Just watch, this is creepy.
Who are you talking to,
Having
bro?
a whole conversation with somebody, right? Saying that somebody came and he dapping that person off and everything. Now see, look, y'all see when he dapped them off, look what happened. He dapped them off. You see that shadow? And then the shadow goes over here and he pulling the chair out for him. He swore to God he sat there and had a whole conversation with this person. He moved over talking to him and everything. Y'all better protect yourselves. Whatever that was took advantage of him.
Call USA and Phoenix to schedule your consultation with one of our leading vascular specialists. 347-945.
That's a funny cat. He's looking for some beef.
Oh, Jesus!
I've been looking through every single room and everywhere, and there's nothing here, and I need to finish this video, so I'm doing it. So, this is a turning board, and I'm going to...
Birds are going nuts.
Kanika Jenkins was found dead in a hotel freezer. Now, 6 years later, her family will receive a settlement of about $6 million. Let me explain. In September 2017, 19-year-old Jenkins went to a late-night party on the 9th floor of the Crowne Plaza Chicago O'Hare Hotel in Rosemont, Illinois. Jenkins' family became worried when they lost contact with their daughter. Jenkins arrived at the party around 1 a.m. By 2:30 a.m., her family was telling hotel staff she was missing. Nearly 24 hours later, her body was found in the freezer of the hotel's large kitchen space. The cause of death was ruled an accident caused by hypothermia, according to the Cook County Medical Examiner's office. The autopsy report said the freezer door could be opened from the inside and offered no explanation for why Jenkins was unable to get out. The family's legal team said they believe someone outside the freezer locked the door without knowing someone was inside, according to NPR. In 2018, Jenkins' mother filed a lawsuit against the hotel seeking $50 million. Now, the family has reached a settlement that amounts to $10 million, with about $3.5 million going to attorney fees and costs for the family's lawyers, leaving the family with more than $6 million, according to the Chicago Sun-Times.
You know what? Maybe she got lost and, fell asleep being too intoxicated. So, hey, guys, next time you having fun, hey, don't forget, grab your homeboy, grab your bestie, and go back to the room. Safe.
I'm crying in front of this work of art. I just have to show this to you guys up close. This artist spent 7 years painting this portrait of his father. Let me show you what it looks like up close.
7 years, guys. 7 freaking
Look at
years.
this detail. Look at these lines.
Insane.
Stephen Kaltenbach, you fucking nailed it.
You crushed it.
I am lost in the beauty of this work. The tribute. It's really just the most incredible stuff. You better come to Crocker Art Gallery and see this, I guess.
When I made some breakthroughs in chemotherapy in 2008, I was so excited. I was like, ran down the hall to my buddies in the onc world and like, look at what just happened. Like, this is freaking crazy. It's a vitamin A compound and look freaking this happened to these cancer cells. Went back to my mentors, like, all right, so breakthrough, now what? And she's like, the best case scenario will be 25 years before those guys down the hall are able to practice what you discovered. 25 years. It turned out it would never come to be because as I moved into clinical trials, one of the pharmaceutical companies patented vitamin A compounds broadly as a chemotherapeutic agent. So I called them up naively, very excited, got this thing working, it's doing this and that. And it was literally 3 questions. What type of cancers do you think it treats? How long do you think you would have to treat for? Do you think it actually is getting at the, at the apoptosis or suicide of the cell itself? I said, not only do I think, I can show you the date. It was literally hung up on me. And I just thought line went dead or I lost my line, called back, no answer, no answer. Finally, after a few days of no contact, go to my mentor and explain the situation. She's like, you should have never called. That is not a patent. That is there for monetary gain. That is something called a blocking patent, making sure that this thing doesn't come to light.
At the end of the day, it's all about money. And that's all they care about. What do you guys think?
You're saying about babies? Like, what are they doing with babies?
You saw the governor of Virginia say we keep babies alive after they're born and kill them, right?
Well, I didn't see that.
We keep them comfortable.
But I am very, very concerned with late-term abortions.
Well,
Very,
this
very
is
concerned.
post-birth, Joe. So understand,
Post-birth.
how much money do you think they get for a 7.5-pound baby they can keep alive for 2 weeks? And mama doesn't know.
So
if they can register the organs and get bidders,
but wait a minute,
then they can make $500,000.
Wait a minute, you're saying that the
baby they kill on the spot only gets $50,000.
What are you saying? That they take the baby from the mother and the mother doesn't know that the baby's alive?
Yeah, you know how they engineer tomatoes to last on the shelf?
Yes.
This is just evil. I mean, 500K, 50K, what are we talking about? It's human lives. Oh, jumping tree.
Did you know Apple just applied for a patent so that they can retrofit AirPods to read your mind? Or they didn't apply, they filed a patent. So what it is AirPods, they're fitting them with like electromagnetic sensors. And do you guys remember when we talked about they could hook a like brain machine up to a person and they could look at something and they could use AI to generate the picture?
Yeah.
So that technology, rather than a full helmet, they have successfully mapped via sensors in AirPods. They've successfully done the same thing. What they said,
Wow.
I was reading in neuroscience.com or something like that. I was reading an article and it said what they're able to do is read that sensor, and they said everybody's electromagnetic pulses are different. And so it's not just an immediate read what you're thinking and then regurgitate it. It's a process of learning. And so they mine and log all of the thoughts, all of the pulses. And so,
Are these in the current headphones? They may be testing stuff. Who knows?
but they said, the article I found said they did it successfully 5 years ago.
Yeah, weird.
This woman had a portrait of Jesus Christ on her dress at the red carpet, and the security guards clearly did not want this picture to be shown to the public. This is Dominican actress Maciel Tavares, and at one point she pushes the security guard. This is just wild. Watch this.
The serpent gave information to Adam and Eve. Wait a minute. The person that's giving me information is the bad guy, but the person that wants to keep me from information is the good guy. And then you're gonna tell me knowledge is power. And then when I'm in church, you're gonna tell me I can't ask questions. I got a question. Why is the person teaching me a thing the bad person? And the person that does not want me to know the thing.
To do this, but I've been working erecting 5G masts on towers like the one behind me for the past few weeks while everybody else has been in lockdown. And we don't crack open these kits because we're explicitly asked not to. But perhaps the best thing is for me to show you. It's best if I just show you, look. There's a piece of 5G kit and it says COVID-19 on it. I don't really know of any product produced by any company that produces circuitry like this that has the brand name COVID-19, but that's what it says on the circuit board. Not a conspiracy theorist. Obviously I've read all that stuff online about coronavirus and COVID-19, but why the are they putting circuitry like that in towers like that? Just understand.
That's a damn good question. If you guys know, I mean, I heard about like 5G and the C19 could be linked.
I heard you say with your pastor that you felt like you were making devil's music.
Yeah, because you're such a
I love it. I went from Jesus Walks to You're Such a I Love It. Oh, I bet you the devil was happy on that day. And where that record went straight to what? #1, quick. We want to spend all of our money on foreigns. We want to spend all our money on luxury as opposed to going and buying some land. America is for sale. And there's a lot of barren land. Disney bought a lot of it in Florida. But the culture has you focused so much on somebody and pulling up in a foreign and rapping about things that could get you locked up and then saying you about prison reform. Like, it's, bro, we brainwashed out here, bro. Come on, man. This is a free man talking. I'll put my life on this interview right now.
But it's a UFO in New York City, y'all. Yo, it's a UFO in New York City. Yo, look at the bird.
Famous YouTuber goes missing shortly after making a portal. The case is so strange that it made major news.
The missing YouTuber and his viral video, it's all part of a mystery centered around Sedona, Arizona.
Of course, the popular tourist destination known for its scenic beauty and shopping. But don't forget its mysterious side, crystals and energy vortexes.
His name is Funky Fathead, and he immediately went missing after creating an instructional video on how to make a portal. His YouTube account had over 80,000 subscribers, which is an asset and it's actually worth a lot of money. And that's exactly why his story went viral.
Is in Sedona, and it is a well-known vortex phenomenon.
The portal he opened leads to Sedona, Arizona, which is famous for UFO sightings and vortexes. But here's the thing, people are skeptical of his story because computer software can easily fake images like this. In fact, here's a quick demonstration from a video editor. Because Funky Fathead's legal name never went public, nobody can actually confirm if he went missing. So a missing persons case never opened for him.
Why would he disappear?
I'd like to talk about some of your other remote viewings. Now, one in particular I'd like to discuss is you were tasked with remote viewing Mars, from what I understand. And the time period, I believe, was 1 million BC?
Yeah, 1 million BC.
Who was that directed by?
Well, when it was tasked, I was sleeping in the industrial cube, the sealed cube in Bob Monroe's lab at the Monroe Institute, because we had been working on going out of body and controlling it, and I was exhausted, so we've been working. This was Sunday, I think, and he woke me up, and I said, yeah, I'm awake. What's going on? He said, well, I have some people here from Department of the Army, and they have a target for you. And I said, okay, what do you want me to do? He said, well, he said, I have an envelope here. There's nothing written on it. It's in my pocket. Tell me something about it. So it started out with a really large pyramid. And I said, first thing, words out of my mouth was, this must be a new discovery. And he said, why do you say that? I said, because it's huge. It's bigger than the Pyramid of Giza. Must be a new discovery somewhere. And then he said, well, tell me something about it. That's what I want to know. And so I said, it's got really large rooms inside. It's kind of surprising because the way pyramids are built, that can't be done. You can't have large rooms inside because of the weight of the construction. So it must be some new form of construction. So are you sure this is not a new discovery? And he said, just tell me what I need to know. So I said, well, it appears to be some form of protection of survivors of some cataclysm. And
they're in stasis. They're waiting for somebody to come. I said, but I think it's too late. I think they're all dead. And he said, why do you say that? And I said, because I feel like the messages I'm getting are like leftover mental images, things that they pass differently from normal or something like that. So he asked me some other questions. He moved me around in the target and asked me some other questions and it turned out there were 6 specific targets that I was given in that particular case, and all 6 of them I described exactly what was standing there. And when I say that, I mean what was also pictured in negatives by JPL, Jet Propulsion Laboratory, California. And so I finally said, it's like a special race of people or something. I'm getting humans just like we are, but I'm not so sure they're humans like we understand human, because they're way bigger. So what do you mean? I said they're like 10 feet tall, really huge, but they're proportionately the same and very human-like. So I don't know what's going on here. I said, and the sun looks really weird. And he said, I don't care about the sun. Tell me more what's on the ground. So he was being a pretty good monitor at the time. And so we basically finished the whole line of it. And I came out. And I said, what's going on? And I was introduced to these people. And the guy that had brought them was Fred Atwater, my old training officer. So this was, as far as I was concerned, was an active mission, because we were still doing remote viewing with the project. And so I said, so where is this? Is this a new discovery or something? And he says, well, Bob's got the envelope that has a target identified in it. And Bob said, oh yeah, I got it right here. And he pulled it out of his shirt pocket and just opened it up as an envelope. Nothing written on it. And so he opened up the envelope, and inside it said Mars, 1 million years BC. And I said, wow. I mean, what are you going to say? But everything that's actually on the ground, I described. There is what I decided to do was, the next time I was in California, I was going to go by JPL and get copies of the negatives, because somebody said, oh, that's all BS. And I said, no, I think they're pictures, specific pictures for the different GPS locations. See, these were all GPSs that they read to me while I was in the box. The GPSs, in my mind, were for Earth. I never heard of GPSs for another planet. It turns out every planet in our universe has got GPSs that match the Earth's, because they're all spherical, as well as the moons and everything else. So I didn't understand it to be off the Earth. I thought GPSs only worked on the Earth, so that's why I kept thinking it was a new discovery. But it turned out I went to JPL, and I walked up to the counter, and I had the actual card that had the GPSs written on it. 6 or 7 GPSs. I think there were 7, and I just didn't do the 7th because I was too tired. I worked on it for maybe an hour and a half, and I was tired anyway from working all day. So I walked up to the desk, and the guy said, can I help you? And I said, yeah, I understand all the pictures taken in space belong to the American people. And he said, of course they do. It's taxes paid for them. I said, okay, I'd like to see all the pictures for these GPSs. And he took one look at the card and said, oh, that's the old city on Mars.
Vanessa, are you okay?
Actress Vanessa Marquez played nurse Wendy Goldman alongside George Clooney on the hit TV show ER.
Didn't take it for no. Okay. We're just making sure you're okay.
Police were called to her cluttered Los Angeles home in 2018 after the landlord requested a welfare check. Marquez reportedly suffered from mental illness.
You are not under criminal arrest, but I am taking you to an examination by a mental health professional.
Moments later, things go horribly wrong.
Gun.
Chaos erupts as the actress pulls out a gun.
Drop the gun! Drop the gun!
Marquez repeatedly ignores the officer's demands.
Drop the gun! Kill me! I'm not gonna kill you! Drop the gun!
As police scramble to safety,
Come on, go.
gunfire erupts.
Drop it! Pull back, dude, pull back!
According to the Los Angeles District Attorney's Office, the two officers who shot and killed Marquez acted in self-defense.
Have you heard about demons, demonic possession? It's coming for us soon, too.
If you really have faith, you don't need belief. Because faith is an entirely different attitude from belief. Faith is a state of openness or trust. To have faith is, for example, like when you swim, you trust yourself to the water. You don't grab hold of the water when you swim. And if you go stiff and tight in the water and try to catch hold of it, you'll sink. You have to relax. So in the same way, when a cat falls off a tree, the cat doesn't go stiff all over in a state of tension, that is to say, a state of holding on. The cat relaxes. It falls heavily, thumps the ground with its tail, and isn't hurt because it relaxed. So the attitude of faith is the very opposite of clinging, of holding on. So that you could say that a person who is a fanatic in religion, who simply has to believe in certain propositions about the nature of God and the nature of the universe, is a person who has no faith at all, because he's holding on tight.
Alan Watts was a great man. Believing in yourself is so much different than having faith in yourself. Know why? How do you know? You just know it. And that's a huge difference to create your own reality.
There's this story, it was from, I believe, the 1700s, a ship that was carrying a bunch of cargo that they were bringing across the Atlantic, and they encountered this giant storm, and they started taking on water, and there's another ship, like, off in the distance, and so the one ship that was sinking, they raised the flag, basically saying, like, SOS. The other boat raised their flags, like, the seas are too rough to send the lifeboat, and then the captain thought about it for a second, and they had a barrel of fish oil, and what he did was he dumped the barrel of fish oil overboard, and it calmed the ocean around him. And so there's one guy that I saw did an experiment where he was at a lake and it was very windy that day and there was just like wave ripples and stuff. Yeah. He took a tablespoon of fish oil and just put it in the water, and for 50 plus yards you could see the waves just stop around this one area. So the oil basically keeps water from waves forming because of the water tension. One tablespoon went out like 50 yards.
Yeah. That's crazy.
It's weird. Apparently it was an old sailor trick to do.
Wow.
Watch your knowledge.
The captain was smart.
How you feel about the situation that Diddy in?
Let's say this. Something else is going on. They didn't raid, they searched with a warrant his premises on the West Coast, right? They searched his premises on the East Coast in Florida, right? On the same property that the premises was located that they searched in Florida, he had a second mansion. They didn't touch that one. Why not? And when they walk out of there, they got a small trash bag and they have a medium-sized cardboard box. What was it they seized that would fit into those items? That what they seized was some evidence that was very incriminating to other people.
What they're showing you is so much different from reality. Remember Epstein with the island? He was collecting dirt all over the place for all these years, just for his safety. So guess what? And they came for that dirt, and that dirt only.
No, I don't like you people to use chemicals. We use natural food.
Yeah.
Which heals. Can I tell you?
Yeah,
This is produced by chemicals.
it is. It's very true.
You are putting chemicals in your body. When you say it, you don't care what will happen. You are saying, I'm wearing a good shirt.
Yeah.
Without, that's a problem. That you are practicing witchcraft on your body yourself with your mind. So people
You never
don't think
thought about it.
that.
And Fisi, but they tell me it's breathable, and it's got air-wicking pockets, and it's sweat-proof.
What about this?
I mean, that's just gazelle, right? That's just one gazelle skin.
What do you call your computer? What do you call that right there?
Laptop?
You know where the name came from? Steve Jobs used to put the original computer on his lap, and they called the laptop. You know what kind of cancer he got? Retroperitoneal cancer. What did you always see in his Levi's in the back? Pocket wore out, because that's where he put what? iPhone. He writes a book. You know what it said in the book? You need to go read it. It said, I don't want my kids to use my technology. Do you know why?
Yeah, I've heard that before.
Steve Jobs knew that his technology was a problem. Do you know how I can tell you guys that it's a problem? iPad 2 came out. Do you know that iPad 2 had an infrared detector in it so that when the detector touched the kid, it would turn off the RF and microwaves?
Wow.
Do you want to know why it's important for you to know? Apple never marketed it. Do you know why? If they would have marketed it, they would have told you, you would have asked the question, is this good or bad for you?
After Mars, you have another little planet that survived called Ceres, Ceres, which is also a result of this Tiamat exploding. People don't even talk about Ceres. It has the most fresh water out of any other planet in our solar system. More
And
fresh water.
where's its location?
That's the next planet after Mars, Ceres.
Really?
Ceres.
How big is it?
It's about maybe 2/3 smaller than Mars. And guess
It's a
what?
dwarf planet. It follows an orbit between Mars and Jupiter near the
right.
middle of the asteroid belt with an orbital period. Click on that, Jamie.
When they flew by it,
You
about
heard about this before? I didn't know there was another planet out there.
Listen, when they flew by it a few years ago, the lights were on. They sent the probe out there.
What?
The lights were on. And so they tried to say it was ice particles glistening in the sunlight. So when they got to the dark side, guess what? The lights were on the dark side. So they couldn't use the ice particle explanation anymore. So they just said, we don't know what it is.
What?
Are we alone on this planet? A bigger question, are we alone in this whole universe? We got to stop fooling ourselves. Just us. Come on now.
Total witches have to be witches now in order to produce music. Thank you. The master is a tape about as big as the top of this podium that looks like an overgrown 8-track that the album is cut on and is placed in a machine that produces and presses the records and the 8-tracks and cassettes that you buy. After it's been recorded, it's taken in. This is why a master's cut months in advance before it's released. On the full moon, it's taken in to a temple room about the size of this auditorium that is in every one of the major music companies, behind locked doors up in the executive offices. And it's placed on an altar sitting in the north of the room and a pentagram engraved in the floor. And 13 hand-chosen witches and wizards and a coven come in and conjure a principality or a power up, usually Regia or something like that, and order him to tell the demons under him to follow every record and every tape coming off of that master.
Chants and songs are rituals. And you know what? Music is part of everyday life. You go to the gym, music. In a car, radio, or your favorite song. It's like we under a spell 24/7. But for what?
Meet the Guinness World Record holder hailed as the world's fastest swordsman, whose skill transcends mere martial arts. With the ability to turn ordinary pens into concealed weapons, his talent has even caught the attention of law enforcement. He practices the ancient art of Mo Ying Xiang Luo, where the sword achieves divine significance. His
You must have
technique is so
trained
refined
like
that he can slice
crazy.
an apple in half in the blink of an eye, demonstrating not only incredible speed but unparalleled precision. Remarkably, he also masters the art of seamlessly resheathing his sword after each lightning-fast slash. Beyond his swordsmanship, his agility and vision stand out. Capable of deflecting arrows with a single stroke and executing complex maneuvers with ease, he embodies the true essence of martial mastery. This swordsman is not just a fighter, he is a testament to the heights of human skill and discipline, mesmerizing audiences with each flawless movement and precise action.
Do you think Dick Cheney was talking to the aliens, or do you think he just wanted to make a ton of
George
fucking
Bush
money?
was. I think George Bush Sr. was. Junior was a moron. We know that.
Yes.
Junior.
But Dick Cheney, the guy behind the Iraq War,
remember,
who owned...
listen, Dick Cheney worked with George Bush Sr. George Bush Sr. put Dick Cheney and Donald Rumsfeld around Junior. All right? Sr. told Cheney and Rumsfeld, take care of Junior. We have to do certain things. And, you know how Junior is. I need you guys with him. Reagan did not want George Bush as his vice president. He thought he was a total creep, coming from out of the CIA. He'd been former director of the CIA. And he's a 33rd degree Freemason. George Bush Sr. was 33rd degree Mason. And his grandfather was Hitler's financier in America, Prescott Bush. So Bush Sr., yes. Bush Sr., I think, is someone who literally has at some point sat down with these 7-foot-tall Nordic people and had policy planning conversations with them. I wouldn't be surprised at all. When David Grush came out and talked about all these reverse engineering efforts that are underway, right? Mm-hmm. One of the most interesting things that he said was that not all of these craft were retrieved from crash sites. Some of them were what they now call donations. Mm-hmm. Okay? Meaning there were cases where we have been handed intact craft. There is no way in hell that a civilization that advanced would volunteer this kind of technology to any stratum of the U.S. government without an extremely detailed agreement having been reached. And that would have to have been negotiated by both sides. And this is one of the most dangerous assumptions that people make, that we're dealing with some kind of ethereal beings that have such a vast cosmic horizon of understanding. It's much more like when colonial elites encountered savage or primitive populations, like when the British Empire or the Portuguese were out conquering very undeveloped societies, mm-hmm. right? The people who are flying around in these anti-gravity craft are not any more ethical than British colonialists or Nazi Germans in North Africa. They have more advanced technology. That doesn't necessarily mean they have any more of a sense of beneficence or humanistic ethics than any of the colonial elites in our own history have.
So you have all the power, all the technology. So why would you care for the little savages we are? You won't. If you connect the dots, it will make sense. Someone doesn't like Cheetos, but grab a bag of Cheetos, look at the ingredients in a bag, and heat me up.
Listen to this. I have to tell you this. Okay. So after I left the party, and the next day I smoked weed, Michael, and then I get in the limousine and I leave. I get back to the Sheraton Hotel at Universal over here. There's 4 FBI agents waiting for me in the hotel room. And my mom's there and she's like, tell them what happened. And I'm like, what do you mean tell them what happened? And I sit down with them and they all ask these super sexually exploiting, questions, back-sided questions. And I knew that at my age already. And I looked at all 4 of them and I said, are y'all crazy? I said, what you think I'm gonna do? Tell you that Michael did something bad so that we can sue him for money? That's what I told him. I was like, you're crazy. And I looked over at my mom and I was like, are you serious, Mom? I was like, what is going on here? Why are you letting this happen? And she goes, well, I think something happened, I think something. I'm like, really? That man did nothing but be hospitable, kind, loving, giving, everything you could think of. We rode 4-wheelers for 5 hours, me, him, and Chris Tucker in the mountains at nighttime after his birthday party. Him and I hung out and talked pretty much all night. Got a couple hours of sleep. I wake up, he's not even in the room. He pulled out a cot for me in his room because I asked him, I was like, I want to hang out with you. I want to be around. It was Michael. Yeah. I want to hang out with him. I wanted to hang out with Michael. He pulled out a little cot or something. I laid on the cot. I wake up in the morning. His bed's made. There's a cleaning lady that wakes me up. I keep asking, where's Michael? I go over. He's got this huge statue figurine that Michael Jordan sent him for his birthday because he collected that stuff. Went and smoked some with him, get in the car, and then all this shit happened when I got back to LA, and I'm like, what the fuck is this? I was like, and I looked at my mom, I go, are you really trying to go at Michael and use me for a money grab? I was like, nothing. And I looked at him right now, I said, nothing happened. I said, Michael was flirting with girls right in front of me. Actually.
Yeah.
And it was hilarious because he was very charming.
I bet. It's Michael Jackson.
he made girls just light up, blush, and and I saw him looking at girls' booty. I said, I saw you looking at her booty. He was like, I was like, and so I hear these stories of like Wade Robson, and then I'm like thinking to myself, wait, hold up. I know Wade Robson. Wade Robson pretended to be the voice on my album, Aaron's Party, for my brother. Because my brother didn't do it, so Wade Robson did it. It was like a little spoof thing, an interlude in my second album, Aaron's Party. And Wade Robson did the voice of like pretending to be my brother or some shit. And I'm like, wait, hold up. Wade leaving Neverland? What is this? Like, what do you mean leaving Neverland? Like, I left Neverland. Everything was cool, homie. Like, what's your problem? Did you dream this up? Did your parents tell you to do this?
Yeah, I mean, they tried to sue for like $100 million, and ultimately it was dropped. They got nothing out of it, as they should.
Nothing. That dude didn't do shit like that.
Yeah.
Like, I knew Michael better than all of them.
Yeah, I believe
even
everything
Macaulay,
that I've seen.
if it was Macaulay now,
I'm not buying it.
Even if it was Macaulay Culkin sitting right here, he would tell you the same thing I did with the same assertiveness.
Big shout out to my boy, rest in peace, Aaron Carter. He stood freaking strong. Even his mom tried to do him dirty, but he didn't flinch. And sometimes, you know what? Hey, money doesn't buy everything. Integrity, truth. We got to stay strong, brothers and sisters, because, hey, they're going to try to come after us.
I went through the dangers of evolution on video 5. They arrested me and got every DV number 5 they could find, because that's the one they wanted to shut me up over. They took me to, I said, what am I being arrested for? They said, for structuring. I said, I don't know, what is that? So we did a program on that back last December 14th. You can see it on my channel, Genesis Baptist Church on YouTube, or Kent Hovind Official on Odyssey or Rumble, whatever channel you like to watch. I think the link is on your screen there or someplace. I did a whole show on what happened with the arrest and the charges. The U.S. attorney that was assigned to take me down because of video number 5 had nothing to do with IRS or taxes. No. And so they arrested me. And I went to trial. And my attorney said, Kent, don't even give a defense. There's no crime here. They know that. The judge sees that. There is no crime. You did nothing wrong. I said, I know. So then the jury was a hung jury. So they called a new jury, had another hung jury. The third time they called a jury in, the judge told them, find him guilty. So they did. And she said, dismiss the jury. She said, now, Mr. Hovind, structuring calls for 0 to 6 months. And you've never been in any problem with the court, but your crime is worse than I'm going to enhance this to 10 years. Structuring is where you take your money out of the bank in cash to pay your bills, and you do it in amounts less than $10,000. Have you ever taken out less than $10,000 out of your bank?
Of course.
That's what I went to jail for.
Less, so not more, less.
Not less than. Yeah, the U.S. attorney, after they put me in jail, he flew to Detroit. They arrested him and put him in jail. And that was U.S. Attorney John David Roy Atchison in Pensacola. Google it. He's the one put me in jail for 9 years for taking our own money out of our own bank to pay our own bills. There was never any crime. One guy did a whole program on a whole series of videos just on my case. He studied it intently. He called it Kent Hovind is Innocent.net. He said, Kent, the government broke 100 laws to put you in prison. They wanted you in prison. I said, apparently so. While I was there, I wrote 37 books, earned 2 more doctor's degrees, led 800 men to the Lord, held Bible study 4 times a day, and I answered 8,000 letters. I got mail from all over the place. I don't want to go again, but I said, half the Bible's written from prison. I guess, Lord, I'll just use it for your glory. So that's what I tried to do.
The perfect example when you did nothing wrong, but everything goes wrong. But that means you're just getting closer to the truth.
Family and the history of the Smithsonian Institute is something that we could never talk too much about. There's just incredible underground storage vaults in the Smithsonian Institute where they it's like I call it informational Area 51. Cavern system was uncovered in the bottom of the Grand Canyon. The Grand Canyon was actually not a small river carving it through millions of years. The fact is, with the Uinta Basin, all the inland ocean that was all part of that, something cataclysmic happened, fracturing of the rock around the time of 30 AD that caused a massive amount of water to go out over a short period of time and carve the Grand Canyon out. There's plenty of evidence of that. Major Powell did his first expedition down the Grand Canyon. Everybody thought he was crazy as a loon. You know, there's this one-armed major was lost his arm in the Civil War, coming down in the 1870s. They mapped this great river. They thought he would never make it out. If you look at the Powell Museum there in Page, Arizona, there's little boats and they go over the cataracts and the massive amount of water. It was an amazing feat. He survived, as we know. He had a Native American Navajo guide that basically took him down, not expecting to even know if he'd survived the trip. Powell wrote everything in his report to Congress, and he explains what he found looking up at this cave, which was quite a ways up from where the river was flowing in 1870s. And as the explanation went, he went up into it, was able to rock climb up to there's like a keyhole opening that was not natural. It was absolutely carved. And he went in and was shocked with what they found. Egyptian artifacts galore inside. So he didn't have time, of course, to do a full-scale excavation, but in his report to Congress, he made mention of it. Well, that, of course, garnered the attention of the Smithson family, and the Smithsonian Institute sponsored a second trip through, this time loaded with photography equipment to document what was in there. And so the Smithsonian Institute went in there and, my goodness, took all kinds of pictures. And instead of going on down the river, they actually hiked up to the top of the rim and went overland from there to map that out. Okay, that's part of the unknown history of the early expeditions of the Grand Canyon. A guy named G.E. Kincaid, who is an employee of the Smithsonian Institute, he's survives the Great War, comes in, and he's funded by Smithsonian to go back in cavern system. So Kincaid does that, goes in under the disguise of mineral exploration, prospecting, okay, and he locates the exact same Powell cave, goes in with his photography equipment, and brings out a massive amount of precious metal artifacts. Comes up over the top. He's so excited about what he's found, he makes a press front page headlines. Amazing find in the Grand Canyon. News articles on my blog, which was all from, again, the Smithsonian Institute. Well, my blog was shut down and erased, actually, in December of 2019. A lot of people, oh, wow, this is fantastic information, Doc. I just post them. So the question that people ask me is, where'd you get these pictures? Well, I had he's now deceased, so I can talk about him now. A friend named Dr. Melvin Laney in Washington, D.C. had high-level security clearance, and he had full unfettered access to the Smithsonian's archives. He sent me this information tied into what I'm working in the property here in Utah. Another story for another time. But it tied in, most definitely ties in, this story of G.E. Kincaid and the amazing discoveries at the bottom of the Grand Canyon. PowerPoint presentation to the people who want to come and see this. I think it's interesting.
Smithsonian says, no, it never did happen, but you got into the actual archives. You got actual documentation.
It's an amazing, jaw-dropping story. Let me just give you some hints of what we're going to be showing. Massive amounts of mummies. And the big thing is, Terry, is there were thousands and thousands of panels of Egyptian hieroglyphics that have been interpreted. And what it tells the story of should rewrite all the world's history, frankly.
Huh.
Because it's none other than the biblical Joseph of Egypt and his history. It answers the question, really, it was more than just a deal with Potiphar's wife that elevated Joseph to be the most powerful vizier, in second only to the Pharaoh himself. It tells the story of how he ascended to and why he was able to bring all the grains and survive the famines that went on. It's all in the history of this cave in the bottom of the Grand Canyon. It's an amazing.
You shoot mentis. She fought for her life.
Ficus, the forgotten zodiac sign, happens to be in the middle of the zodiac. And Isaac continues to point out that someone or something has wanted us to forget there was such a sign.
Now there's a zodiac scene in the main part of the temple that's straight. It's a square, rectangle zodiac. So what's interesting was no one knows why this is unclean.
Wow, I've never noticed that before.
Like, something is going on here, so I start asking here, and all of a sudden he reveals, well, there's actually 36 decans, and there is a 13th decan, and this is the 13th decan. And I said, well, I'm here looking for the 13th sign. Well, that's the decan of 13. So look at it closer. His name is Sepikhamu. And if you try to Google that name, you'll never find any information on that.
That's very strange.
What are the odds that the 13th decan out of this entire ceiling is still black?
But what?
It's a serpent.
Okay, so you're saying this is referencing Ficus, the serpent.
The grey pope is Pepe Orsini. He trumps the black, he trumps the white pope.
The grey pope is even higher than the black and the white pope.
The Orsini is the Maxima family. They are the maximum family. They are on top. And somehow they've trumped the Colonna and the Farnese, which I know without any doubt through all my studies that they are the three most powerful Illuminati.
What about Rothschild and Rockefeller?
Well, they are Orsini. They just changed their name. Rockefeller were Rothschilds. Rothschilds were Orsini. Orsini were a family which have their bloodlines in Babylon and Egypt. They tell you that. You read their biographies, they'll tell you that. We go back to Nimrod. They tell you that. The Rothschilds say that. We go back to Nimrod. How? Through the Orsini. So Rockefeller, Rothschild, Orsini, and then you go back to the Persian and Egyptian dynasties.
And that crazy? The same families are ruling this world since the dawn of time. What are we gonna do about it?
Make sure you button it up. Lift them back up. All right, next you're gonna grab the two legs and just right an overhand knock. Right over left. Left over right, as such. And then you're gonna put this over your head. This is the part that you're gonna inflate. So you're gonna grab air. You're gonna grab your hand and slap air inside. Go underwater.
I'll be sinking by now. I'll be gone.
Kind of hold it in place.
He threw a nice hard knee, and I just, because I'd seen it all his fights, he won with knees, so I expected hard knees, but.
I mean, specifically, probably not.
Yeah.
Like, specifically, yeah. But yeah, that's happened.
Do people try to? It was nice to know, you know, he gave me a clean shot to the body, and I could take it, so.
And you, like what he's saying, if somebody was messing with somebody, I got up.
Wow! I feel violated right now. Wow.
Get that off
Hey,
of there.
hey.
We have to be naked on stage during one full song. Answer Justin Bieber.
I have like little girl fans. I can't go.
Imagine there was no laws.
It is. Lean into me again. You smell amazing. How old are you?
Thank you.
How old are you?
I'm 16. I'll be 17 in like 2 weeks.
I don't ever remember smelling that good at 16. Wow, look at your eyes. And what? So look at him. Look at what a beautiful face. All right.
It was Katy Perry who apparently wanted to know what a Bieber butt felt like.
Squeeze your face. No. I will. No. Squeeze your face.
Canadian high school. This with me. Come on, let's do it together.
That makes me feel uncomfortable.
I just want to protect her, you know? I don't want her to go through anything I went through. I don't wish that upon anybody.
It's not all fun and chill. It's abuse.
Well, last planet, but very rare, and that really blew my mind because.
Where did it blow it to?
Everywhere.
Oh, all right. First of all, yes, some can come through portals in their original form, and there are a few, very few remaining versions that are similar to their original form, but you're surrounded by dinosaurs. You know they're the birds. They evolved into birds. You know that already.
Yeah, I've seen videos of pterodactyls, and I was just like, ooh.
Well, a pterodactyl's not a bird. A pterodactyl is a flying reptile.
I always thought it was a dinosaur.
Certain dinosaurs, yes, in a sense it is. But certain dinosaur branches actually became birds. So many of your scientists, in recognizing that now, don't refer to birds as birds anymore. They refer to them as avian dinosaurs. Because that's what they are. It is simply the evolutionary path that the dinosaurs that remained, that didn't go extinct, took. So you're surrounded by them. Tweet, tweet.
It will talk about the inverse relationship between fluoride and IQ, so that as fluoride actually went up, IQ actually went down. As fluoride in the drinking water went up, IQ went down. In these 3,200 municipalities, they found an inverse relationship between the amount of fluoride and IQ. Mm-hmm. So as the amount of fluoride in the drinking water per municipality went up, the IQ actually went down, especially in prepubescent teens. It talked especially about the incidence of IQ going down in prepubescent teens. And again, I'm not trying to like sound the alarm, but if you have the possibility of filtering your water and not drinking fluoride in your water, and also chlorine and microplastics and pharmaceuticals, then for sure tap water is one of the things I think that you should permanently get out of your life.
If you have the possibility of installing a filtering system, cool for you, cool. But you know how much it costs? An arm and a leg. I mean, there is no way people they're just gonna install it. They want more fluoride in the water, so poor people they just get dumber. And that's just scandalous.
Always heard this rumor that she slept her way to the top. That's true?
She did. Look, if you want to find out about it, go online to the LA Times morgue. They've been reporting on her for 30-some years. She's in her 20s, and Willie Brown took her up as his mistress. There was a medical firm that dealt with San Francisco. He got her a 15-hour-a-week part-time job there, which she never showed up to, according to the Times, but they paid her $72,000 a year for 15 hours a week. And so he got her promoted up, so she did 20 hours a week. Times reported she never showed up, but she got 120 grand a year. So he bought her a 750i BMW, which was the top of the line at the time. So he set her up with all of the connections to get her into politics. The Times did a thing about this thing she had allegedly with an NBA player to get a job with a big law firm, and then a thing they did on her with the assistant director for the district attorney's office to get on with them, and then Montel Williams, and then back to Willie Brown, and then the rest of the whole thing, and she winds up with a Hollywood lawyer type not long before she runs for senator. So, and she adopts his children. She doesn't have any of her own, not saying it's a requirement, but it sure as hell helps.
If you think she's clean, think again. And I sided with Elon. If she wins, we're in deep trouble. So. Wow. Is that really safe? You're never gonna buy this pouch again. Not for you, not for your kids. Make them fresh from scratch. Don't be lazy. That's for your health and your kids' health. You can see the process from A to Z.
Amenities including 6 common balconies, a cafe, a gym, an art and music room, just to name a few. The apartments are fully furnished, and there will be caseworkers on site to help run and assist the residents with different programs.
You will need strict restrictions. No alcohol, no drugs, no BS.
A video lasting over a minute was filmed by British researchers during a geological survey in the Indian Ocean. When the autonomous robot was lowered more than 1,100 meters deep into the seabed, it unexpectedly encountered a peculiar-shaped creature swimming in front of it. According to observations, this creature has a black body and a fairly symmetrical shape, resembling two axes fused together. While people were still speculating about what kind of creature it was, suddenly it transformed into a spherical shape with multiple glowing veins of surreal colors attached to a soft and flowing lower body like a piece of silk fabric. Not stopping there, after a few seconds of swimming in front of the camera, this creature suddenly darted away, then separated its body into two distinct pieces before disappearing into the dark water. It is known that this is a rare and unique video footage of this mysterious creature captured up to the present time, and its identity has yet to be determined.
What is the obsession with reptilians in India? There's a lot of people worshiping reptiles there.
Our gods are snake-like reptilian gods. We worship Nagas. We worship Nagas, which are basically reptiles. We have a lot of ancient texts talking about Nagas. Not only in India, by the way. The Nagas are also called Sarpas.
Where does Nagas come from?
Basically a word that denotes reptile, like a snake, like a serpentine.
Okay.
Like you understand what I'm saying? Like it's called a sarpa in India. It's called a seraph in Israel. It's called a serpent. It's all coming from the same word. From in the Bible, it's all coming from the same word. And the Naga is basically a shape-shifting reptilian set of gods, and believe it or not, they're
Among Us.
They're considered the origin of human civilization in Cambodia. According to Cambodian history, this is not even Cambodian mythology. You can literally study this history in the history books of Cambodia. They're saying that their very first queen was Naga.
A serpent woman.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes. And humans married with the Nagas. We believe that it's a reptilian species.
They believe it was real.
Yep. I believe it.
Or you believe it was an ancient reptilian species?
Yep. I believe the Nagas are like an ancient reptilian species that coexisted with humans.
People accused them of faking their videos, so they decided to set up a trap for a shadow figure to prove their viewers wrong, and they caught on camera something absolutely terrifying.
We've been having this all day today, or I've been here. We've got shadow figures peeking around this door today. So what we decided to do to prove that these are real, I've made Kaylee sit.
Thanks.
And she's going to grab the camera as soon as we see one. And I'm pretty sure it screams pretty hard to see from here, to be fair, but we've tried to push it back to get the best view. There's literally nowhere to go on a stairway. There's yeah, you'd hear somebody running up the stairs. There's no other rooms to go in. Don't cover the screen, because people say you've cut the video. Yeah. Just try and grab it the best you can. Yeah, go. Quick,
You.
Anything?
Nothing. Nope. Nothing.
Show everywhere. Oh, there's nowhere really to show.
No, there's nowhere to show. This is flat against the...
Well, basically, I was told I'd gotten to a certain level, 2 levels before godhood, this Ipsissimus deal. I was 3 levels down, and I was transitioning across what they call the abyss into the next level in this occult hierarchy. And I was told you got 2 choices. You can either be a lycanthrope or a vampire. And of course, a lycanthrope is like a shapeshifter, a werewolf or a were something or other. And I know you're looking at that like,
sounds like you're setting us up for another episode here.
But this,
stay tuned next time.
Well, and I knew a couple of guys that were werewolves, and they said it was very, very painful to make that change.
Okay.
And the things I won't even get into the things you would have to do to achieve that status, if you want to call it that.
Sure.
So I decided that vampires were sexier. You know, yeah, I love the idea of being dark and mysterious and walking around in a cave.
Right.
You know, and I actually did own a cave, but anyway, that preceded my vampire thing.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I started being given these various herbs that would help transition me. And again, I'm not going to reveal what those were, but basically over a period of several months, I was preparing myself. I was doing magical rituals to various qliphotic deities, which are beings from the dark side. And finally, one night, this being showed up in my chapel. I had this is a different home than the one I was speaking about before. Everywhere we went, we always had creepy chapels. And he literally walked through the wall. He was this tall, pale being, as real as you or I. And he cut open his chest and had me drink from his blood. And I now believe that was a fallen angel. But back then, I had been led to believe that he was my vampire master, quote unquote, or sire.
Sure.
And when that happened, then I had part of my preparation. I had to build a coffin, a specially constructed coffin. And I go into much greater. We have a video series that's 9 DVDs.
Okay.
It's called Interview with the Next Vampire. And I go into greater depth there than I have time to here. But you know, the idea is that I stayed in this coffin and incubated after doing this thing with the blood. And then when I emerged, I was no longer a human being. I was somewhere in a twilight world, pardon the pun, considering the vampire books, between being human and being a vampire. And I could not stand the sunlight. I could not stand garlic, and I was living only on Catholic communion and human blood. That's the only thing I could eat or drink. I couldn't even drink water. And I existed like that for nearly a year.
Okay.
And it was pretty miserable.
Yeah.
And the trouble, and I also see I had 8 or 9 women in the covens that we had that were more than willing to let me bite their neck and drink their blood. And I would do different ones every night, so not any one individual got, you know, drained too much.
Right.
And but it wasn't enough. You know, and there's actually I cite this in my newest book. Well, newest, it's now, you know, 8 years old. Romancing Death. I talk about this, that there's a whole field of psychology of people who have addiction to blood and how addictive it is to drink blood. That's why the Bible says don't drink blood. It was said to Noah, it was said to Moses, and it was also ruled upon by the early church in the book of Acts chapter 15. Don't drink blood, because the blood is the life. That phrase, which I'm sure you've heard, is right out of the book of Leviticus.
Yeah.
So I was addicted to this stuff. And I needed more and more of it, just like a heroin addict needs more and more heroin. There's this phenomenon, you know, where you know what I'm talking about. And so I was really worried that I was going to kill somebody.
Yeah.
Either I'd lose control of one of these women, or else. And again, I had to work third shift, you know, throwing newspapers into boxes in the middle of the night because I couldn't go out in a regular first shift job.
Yeah.
So there I am.
So you were a vampire paperboy.
Sounds pretty pathetic, doesn't it? Anyway, again, that shows you how pathetic the devil really is.
Sure.
You know. And so, long story short, this woman started praying for me. And that just blew the whole vampire thing out of the water. I lost all of that, thankfully, before I ended up killing someone. So
yeah,
that's the deal on that.
Gotcha. And I mean, you kind of said that you were somewhere between human and something. Like, do you feel like you physically had a change when you were in the coffin?
Oh,
or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, obviously, if I was living on nothing but human blood, I'd have to, because a human being couldn't do that. Because
so
blood blood, if you drink a lot of blood, it coagulates in your stomach, and it's just disgusting. You end up, so, and plus, my teeth would grow. When I was around someone and I was hungry, I could actually hear their heartbeat. I could be like 10 feet away from someone and I could hear the pulse in their neck.
Yeah.
And just like, if you'll pardon the metaphor, like, when a man becomes sexually excited, certain things happen physically. Well, with me, that wasn't the case. With me, if I was around someone and I needed to eat, and I could hear their heartbeat and see, literally sense the pulse in their neck, my teeth would start to, the two, fang type teeth, I think they're called canine teeth, would grow a little. And, that was a real thing. I mean, other people observed it. The girls that I was, sipping from saw it, so there you go. I mean, it was and again, the devil can do powerful things to a human body if you got to realize, by this time in my life, I was so totally given over to evil.
Sure.
I probably had more devils per cubic centimeter than an entire city, and I wanted them. I begged them to come into me. That's how deceived I was. And yet, with all of that going on, the power of the cross of Christ still was able to set me free.
I don't want to scare you, but do you think you made that story up? Or vampires are real? So, hey, next time you go out late at night, watch your back. And if you work night shift, keep your eyes open. People disappear, unfortunately.
See, my surrogate mother was Viola Armstrong. She had a son named Neil.
Oh, really?
As you know, the story goes, he went down to Antarctica, had a heart attack, stroke combo, and came back. And then there was stuff on the internet. And I had to look at Buzz and ask him, Buzz, what happened down there, Bud? Buzz did say one thing, and it just stuck in my head. It's the way he said it. He just said, we thought out things we shouldn't. And if Buzz saw something, I don't know what it was, but it was enough to give the man a heart attack. So if there are beings down there, I would think these beings never planned on us. They've been there, they came in millions of years ago. They've been under ice for millions of years. I don't think they were expecting us.
Let me ask the thing about Buzz Aldrin, that there was this very cryptic tweet that came out during his stay down there. He said, "We have seen the faces of evil and we're all in danger." Right. And this is right before he had his heart attack. And I can tell you, logistically, to do a medical evacuation from the interior of Antarctica is very difficult and very expensive. Right. So something must have majorly gone wrong.
To underscore the fact that when the C-130 crew had dropped them off, they disappeared. And then when they went to try to find them, there was nothing at the National Science Foundation camp at all. Nothing.
They were
moving.
gone.
They were
dozen
totally
scientists.
gone. And when they did show up, they had been missing for a couple of weeks. And Brian S. and the C-130 flight crew were then sent back. And they were expecting that they would see this group of scientists out to meet their plane, doing this, yelling, something. And he said they were lined up like birds on a wire. They were all kind of next to each other, and most of them had their heads down, looking at their feet when the C-130 was pulling up. And somebody had to go from the flight crew over to the scientists and direct them to get onto the plane. And they talked about how not one single scientist said one word. Most of them walked with their looking down at the ground. Brian said when they got them loaded up, he said to his flight chief, "What in the world? Where have they been?" And the flight chief said, "I don't know. We can't get a word out of them." And during the flight, Brian went and sat down next to one of the scientists, and he said he leaned over and touched the scientist's knee, and the man never looked up. And he said, it was as if we were dealing with 12 or 15 people who had suffered post-traumatic shock syndrome, that they were unnaturally frozen in their position and no speaking, and that they all looked afraid. That one of the SEALs that I have talked to that is not in the video said that as they walked for a mile or 2 miles into these very strange created architectures, they reached a point where something started coming through the walls out into the air. At first, it would go in and out of visibility, and then they realized that their minds were being manipulated. And then when they could see it clearly, and it was coming in and out like a television signal in the air, it appeared to be covered with scales, like an armadillo, the surface of an armadillo. And he said, when you are face to face with something like that, and you are trained in military to kill, but you're dealing with something you've never seen, and it can go in and out of visibility, and you know that your mind is being taken over by something that you are fighting. He said that happened in one of those corridors, and that was 2012.
Bro is levitating.
Don't get public shamed. There it is. Look at this guy. Oof, got him. Oh, got her, dude. Oh, no. Oh.
They're not playing around.
So, just so you guys know, do not jaywalk in China. You will be shamed.
I was about 6 years old when I went on my first official trip. I was going with my father and my grandpa Sinclair up to the North Pole. Up to the North Pole. It was a very glamorous destination, but the best scientific, military installation, top secret mission. The existence of this high security Arctic base. But the existence of this high security Arctic base was exactly. We drove slowly through and past buildings, all of them very gray.
What was there at the North Pole? What he saw during the North Pole visit? Why it was a glamorous destination? Why there was a top secret military base? Let's go deeper. What is there at the center of the flat Earth? Roots Nigra et Altasila, black and very high rock, and hidden for islands around the magnetic rock. Magnetic black rock at the center of the flat Earth. Does magnetic black rock affect winds at the center of flat Earth?
Even when they're trying to tell you, you're still not gonna believe it.
Wow.
kids playing with spider like their pets.
So this was a woman that said this something had took her dogs or took her animals, and she put a trail cam in the backyard and got this image. Oh boy.
Cigarette. The yank. You put it together like a battery. Take on gravity. Now watch the next one. Are you ready, my man? Show me. Yo, hold on. You ready? Hold on again. They didn't see it. They ain't see it. The yank. You put it together like the battery. Yeah, this is the yank. Then you take it to the next level. Show them that in, my man. Show them. Hold on. Let me come to this one. Hold
on. This is good. God gave us eyes to see. And I know what I saw. And I can tell you, I saw a dude.
Aleister Crowley, a very famous occultist who practiced ritual magic, he conducted a ritual that's called the Amalandra working, and he made contact with an alien named Lamb. This alien entity that he drew out was the first gray alien that was ever depicted. This magic ritual, it goes all the way back to the Book of Enoch. There were these fallen angels, they called the Watchers, and the Watchers came and they taught man how to use magic, and these entities taught them the Enochian language. Crowley said, okay, well, let's talk to these entities using that Enochian language, and he did that many times. For decades and decades, the government had this internal Pentagon group that said, hey, all this alien activity could be demonic in some way. Pump the brakes on trying to summon these things because there could be some unintended consequences.
They didn't pump the brakes. They just kicked the gas harder.
What makes Kamala qualified to become the next president of the United States?
She's not. She didn't go through the voting process. They scared of the system, but I was all by design.
So how do you think it's even possible that she is now running for president when she wasn't even voted in to be the electoral?
Good question. Because
to be the person.
Because it's part of prophecy. If you look at like Egyptian, Kamala means lotus flower. Out of the lotus flower comes the sun god Ra. So what she's going to bring what he wanted. Back in the day, the sun god, along with Akhenaten, they were the rulers of the dynasty back in the day. They're going to bring economic doom because what you have to do, you have to destroy it before you rebuild it. They're gradually doing it now. That's why they got to have these conventions, because they need you to be, they need you to make a covenant with them and be in agreement with them to move forward. That's all this is. It's an exercise to participate in your own doom.
Okay.
This whole system was not built for American citizens. It was built for secret groups to run it. And they're running it. And allegedly Kamala and all them, they're part.
The poor guy wasn't prepared for these answers.
You buy a new house and you find a secret hatch.
We found this secret hatch in her basement.
I've been terrified by what's behind it, and I noticed that there's a crawl space here.
Right.
So I think we should take it off.
All right, so it's moving, but they're like nailed into this wall. It's kind of weird. I don't know what these are, but we're almost there. It's really cold back there. It's freezing. Oh my god. Oh my god. It's freezing. Let me see the camera.
Let me know what you think in the comments.
Look at it. Help me get pushed up here. I got you. Oh, what the? Dude, there's like some weird ass shit in there. There's like antlers and there's like a box. A box? Can you help me get in though? Hold on, wait. I need shoes. This shit's nasty. I'm in. Oh, that hurt, dude. I just slammed my knee. There's like a crystal ball. Oh my god. What the fuck? Dude, it's in like the form of a star.
I will leave it alone.
Pentagram thing. Matt, if I bring this over there, can you take it out? All right, hold on. There's candles on top. I don't know. I'm trying not to disturb it, but they were in form of a star. Matt, can you grab it? Yeah, I'm trying. Oh shit! Oh shit! Good. God, that's heavy. There's still more stuff. But I want to see what's in that box. What?
My goodness. That is amazing. Just gonna eat the gun. She's trying to. Whoa. Nice positioning. Right as sub-captain. This is fantastic. Wow, look at the size. I mean, this female, she's definitely bigger than the sub is long. Yeah.
It's called the Wall of Benin, like one of the world's largest structures. But I've never known about it. And it was in Nigeria. It was the capital city, but they made interconnecting walls that stretched over 10,000 miles. And it was all man-made. And it was like the world's largest structure. But the British destroyed it in 1897 when they were colonizing it.
Lame.
But that's enough wall to circle the United States 3 times.
It says 4 times longer than the Great Wall of China.
How have I never heard of that?
That's what I'm saying. Even the people of Nigeria now, they don't even know about it. So like people are trying to like discover more about it to teach them of their ancient culture and stuff.
They started in 800 AD and continued until 1460 AD.
Yeah, they said it took 150 million man hours to build.
Very little remains today. How is that possible?
Because the British destroyed it.
All of it.
Imperialism.
Yeah. Is that not insane?
That's crazy.
Yeah, never heard of it before.
To be honest, I learned something today. Never heard about it.
About my character and my discipline, and I didn't know what discipline was, so he explained to that. Discipline is doing what you hate to do, but do it like you love it.
Mike, did you love him or you were afraid of him?
Both.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, how did you reconcile that, loving him and being afraid of him?
How do you reconcile that? You're his slave. If he told me to kill you, I would kill you.
Really?
Yeah. Listen, I'm a young black kid from the hood.
Right.
If you said something disrespectful, my fighting cuts would beat you. Stop punching you.
Right.
So, I said I dedicate my life to him for that. I wish I could say he was just this white man I played. I wish I could say that.
Right.
But that's not how it goes.
Mm-hmm. Do you miss him to this day? Do you think
He was like his dad.
that if he had lived, that your life would have been different?
He made Iron Mike.
Yeah.
You wrote a poem for a book, right? And I love this poem. Do you mind if I read it? It's called An Ode to Happiness. And he really wrote this. I draw a hot sorrow bath in my despair room with a misery candle burning. I wash my hair with regret shampoo after cleaning myself with pain soap. I dry myself with gorgeous white, 100%, and it will never change towel. Dude,
Keep
man,
going.
if you're
Finish the
alone,
poem.
you don't put on
If
silk.
you're going to read the poem,
And
man.
I go to sleep. Yeah, right in the middle of the poem.
You're just like...
When the hue has gone blue...
And you can't quite grin and bear it.
Let
this word picture remind you it can always be worse.
Touche.
Hey, he said it all. It can always be worse. So always be grateful for what you have.
Hey, Dad, look at Carly.
Get up here, Carly! What the hell was that? The hell was that?
Who are you? Please let me in.
Huh?
Please help me.
What? What's wrong with you?
It did this to me.
What?
It took my daughter.
Burger?
Please let me inside.
How could 9 times any number be 9? Any number you multiply by 9, the answer is still 9. What in the world? They've been hiding so much from us. Now it's getting deep, y'all. It's something with these numbers, okay? There's something behind these numbers. How is that so? How could it be? 9 times 9 is 81. 81. 8 plus 1 is 9. 9 times 2 is 18. 18. 1 plus 8 is 9. And it goes on and on. It does not matter what number you use. It's still going to be 9. It's still going to be 9. It's not just 9 times 1 equals 9. No, it's 9 times any number. It's 9.
You know what, guys? We got to try it. 9 times 253, 2,277. So 2 plus 2, 4 plus 7, 11 plus 7, 18. 18, 1 plus 8, 9. Okay, cool. Something's up.
Skin technology. So we make this kind of crazy nanoparticle that's a tattoo ink, that's like smart tattoo ink that actually you can control your tattoo. So you can turn your tattoo on, you can turn your tattoo off, and you even change the picture inside your skin, like instantly, painlessly, like 100 times in a day. It's crazy. It's called magic ink, and it's light reactive. So if you give it a certain light, you could activate the tattoo. Give it a different light, you could deactivate your tattoo. But also, in a patch of skin, you could change the picture. So you have like mom one day, dad another day. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Most people who have seen this video seem to agree the ghostly image on the stained glass window does indeed look a bit like Princess Diana. But is it real or just an optical illusion? The video was taken by Chinese tourists at a church in Glasgow. They didn't notice anything when they were shooting it, but when they got it home and played it back, they contacted paranormal writer Michael Cohen. The footage is being used in an upcoming TV series on paranormal mysteries. It's also being examined by researchers to see if the ghostly figure really is Lady Diana Spencer.
Considered a child prodigy in electronics. My entire life has been devoted to the study of the effects of electromagnetic energies on the human mind. When I was 13 years old, I invented a device that transmits sound to the human brain using electromagnetic waves. So this is my field. I've been studying this field for over 40 years. And HAARP scares me because I know what it can do. I know that HAARP can be used to control the human mind.
I'm at the Denver airport, the new HAARP installation in the center of
the airport. We start off here with the world. At the South Pole, there is a gate, and then around the world is sand. At the North Pole, there's this hole that leads up to this arrow. The arrow points down to what it looks like perhaps a firmament, to a train station. I should also mention the world is depicted as flat over there. From the train station, from the arrow, we come down here, perhaps a way to get in and out of the world as we know it. Again, surrounded by rocks and sand. Maybe this is where the lizard people live. Yeah, it's weird.
Steiner said about the royal family that they are literally not human. Now, Aryan initiates, these are positioned between man and God in their belief system, which makes them demigods. A demigod or demigoddess is a part human and part divine offspring of a deity and a human, or someone who has attained the divine spark. This is the beehive hexagram. It symbolises elite rule over a worker colony. It also means in secret societies that we all work as one in order to achieve a common goal. Here we see the fleur-de-lis, which came from the bee symbol. And here we see just one example of many across the world, where we have beehive huts. This is Egypt. These were called the Sarmung. Sarmung means beekeeper, and that indicates that they are the knowledge keepers, because the nectar that bees collect is really symbolic for the knowledge that is collected by the knowledge keepers.
More dangerous than the San Andreas Fault.
The Puente Hills Fault is in a densely populated area. It includes Los Angeles, Pasadena, Monterey Park, and Whittier.
Monday's 4.4 earthquake was relatively small, but packed a serious punch. It happened along the Puente Hills thrust fault system, stretching from southern San Gabriel Valley through downtown LA out to Hollywood. A complex web of buried faults that seismologists say is far more dangerous than the famous San Andreas.
We get about an order of magnitude more damage from a Puente Hills earthquake than from a San Andreas earthquake, because so many people so close. And it's not just that we're in LA, we're in the older part of LA, right? The part where the buildings aren't built so to withstand earthquakes.
At Pasadena City Hall, built in 1927, a pipe broke, sending water cascading outside the building. Inside, someone got trapped in an elevator. Monday's quake happened along the same fault system responsible for the deadly 1987 Whittier Narrows quake, which claimed more than half a dozen lives and caused more than $350 million in damage. Since then, the system has been relatively quiet. In fact, the last 4 decades in Southern California have been relatively quiet for quakes until this year, which has seen a lot of shaking, especially magnitude 4.
We're thinking about the Puente Hills because we've had the earthquake right now. But everybody in Southern California lives within 5 miles of an active fault. We are riddled with them. And you can't live here worrying about any one particular fault. We don't know which one's going next.
The treaty stated the aliens would not interfere in our affairs and we would not interfere in theirs. We were particularly interested that they do not interfere with anything that would affect our future, which has been violated. We would keep their presence on Earth a secret. They would furnish us with advanced technology and would help us in our technological development. They would not make any treaty with any other Earth nation. They could abduct humans on a limited and periodic basis for the purpose of medical examination and monitoring of our development, with the stipulation that the humans would not be harmed, would be returned to their point of abduction, that the humans would have no memory of the event, and that the alien nation would furnish MJ-12 with a list of all human contacts and abductees on a regularly scheduled basis, and this is not being done. It was agreed that each nation would receive the ambassador of the other for as long as the treaty remained in force. It was further agreed that the alien nation and the United States would exchange 16 personnel each to the other with the purpose of learning each of the other. The alien guests would remain on Earth, and the human guests would travel to the alien point of origin for a specified period of time, then return, at which point a reverse exchange would be made. I have no knowledge whatsoever of what happened to those original 16 humans who left the Earth with the aliens. It was also agreed that bases would be constructed underground for the use of the alien nation, and that 2 bases would be constructed for the joint use of the alien nation and the United States government. The base at Dulce is one, the base at S4 in the area known as Area 51 or Dreamland is the second. Exchange of technology would take place in the jointly occupied bases. These alien bases would be constructed under Indian reservations in the 4 corners of Utah, Colorado, New Mexico, and Arizona, and one would be constructed in Nevada in the area known as S4, located approximately 7 miles south of the western border of Area 51, otherwise known as Dreamland. All alien areas are under complete control of the Naval Department, and all personnel who work in these complexes receive their checks from the Navy. Construction of the bases began immediately, but progress was slow until large amounts of money were made available in 1957, and in the meantime, work continued on the Yellow Book with the information derived from the guests.
It's partially true. I mean, what do we bring to the table? What value? They have more technology than us, more advanced technology. So what do we bring besides shadiness?
Country will see the United States will see the first gay president or the first woman president.
We already have it with Obama, so let's just calm down.
Got it.
No, Michelle is a trans.
I'm sorry, she's a what?
Transgender. We all know.
Oh my gosh.
Breaking headline about Joan Rivers, who died exactly 6 weeks ago. Tonight, what the medical examiner is now revealing, what the comedy legend was given during that procedure. Here's ABC's Mars Scavocampo tonight.
Tonight, the long-awaited report on Joan Rivers' death, showing the comedian died of brain damage caused by a lack of oxygen in her blood. But the report doesn't explain exactly what caused that drop in oxygen levels. It does say it happened while she was sedated for a routine procedure to treat acid reflux and examine changes in her voice. The medical examiner's report also revealing Rivers was sedated with propofol, the same powerful anesthetic that led to Michael Jackson's death. Rivers' death cited as a, quote, therapeutic complication, meaning death was an accepted possibility of the procedure, but suggesting there were no obvious medical errors.
When the brain and the heart are deprived of oxygen for a matter of minutes, you can start into an irreversible spiral that then will lead to a cardiac arrest.
In a statement, Rivers' daughter Melissa says, "We continue to be saddened by our tragic loss and grateful for the enormous outpouring of love and support."
Since Rivers' death, the clinic's medical director has stepped down. The state's Department of Health has completed their investigation into the clinic and will release those findings.
Has she been targeted for what she said? Let me know in the comments.
The death investigation of Utah CEO Aaron Valenti. Now, Valenti disappeared in California, and yesterday reports are that her body was found inside a parked car. Now, we know this is a developing story. ABC4's Nicole Newman joining us live now with what she has been able to find out. Nicole?
Now, this afternoon, San Jose police telling ABC4 that this is still an ongoing investigation, and as of right now, there are no new updates. Now, this is Aaron pictured here on your screen. The 33-year-old was the CEO of Tinker Ventures, a Utah-based tech company that creates applications for iOS, Androids, and for the web. According to a family friend, Aaron's body was discovered in her rental car. It was yesterday in the 6500 block of Bose Lane in San Jose.
But when Aaron called this time, things were different. Aaron was distraught, slightly panicked, and she couldn't locate her rental car, a gray Nissan Murano. Agnes and Joseph stayed on the line during the duration of her search, and luckily, she did end up finding her car. Although when she did, the conversation took a bizarre turn. Agnes and Joseph Valenti would later recount that Erin started speaking erratically, at a mile a minute, and making very little sense. It was of their opinion that their daughter was having an unusual manic episode. According to Joseph, she was talking about coming home for Thanksgiving one second, until finally, and before hanging up with her parents for the very last time, she said, "It's all a game. It's a thought experiment. We're in the Matrix."
Hey, we first class. It's an experiment. How many times we're gonna hear that? It's all a game. It's an experiment. It's a matrix. It's a simulation. Why not?
My friend, you made major news the last time you were here. Did you realize that?
About the alien, the shapeshifter.
Yeah, you dropped a bombshell. Every paper picked it up.
Let's just say I was with somebody once, and I saw a transformation that I can't explain.
The person transformed into something other than human.
Yes, I saw it.
You were talking to someone. They said to you, "Look, something's going to happen here. I'm going to morph into something else."
Imagine you're doing something, and suddenly you turn around, and there's somebody else standing there.
You still standing by it?
Absolutely. I know it happened. In fact, it happened twice. And on top of that, what's amazing is we live in a world where, look, I've been in public life on some level for 30 years.
Yep.
People treat it as if I'm
crazy. Yeah.
And it's like, I'm here to say, now maybe I had a hallucination, but I saw what I saw.
Right. You saw it. It's your reality.
That's what I'm saying. So it's like, to question somebody's reality is a strange thing.
The second time you saw a shapeshifter, where were you? Probably at Darcy's house.
It was the same. It was the same person.
Oh, it was.
This happened with the same person twice.
Billy, when will you announce who this person is so I can investigate? Seriously.
I wouldn't name names.
But it's a famous person, right?
I wish it was somebody famous.
Yeah, because then that would be awesome.
Well, think of the book sale.
It was like Justin Bieber.
If you release their name, they will be famous. They're shapeshifters.
If I told you in private the story, could you keep my confidence?
Yes.
All right.
Now, here's the good thing about telling me something. Within a minute, I forget, because I think everything is nonsense.
I will tell you the story.
You will?
Yeah. And I will say...
Go ahead.
Since we're on radio.
Thank you.
That the story is even more fantastical than you think.
Wow.
Can you give us something?
The person was naked.
Wait a second. Were you in bed with the shapeshifter? Were you making love?
I will tell you in confidence.
Holy mackerel. Now I'm with you. It was a woman. You made love to her.
Haven't we all experienced this?
Did you? Oh, believe me. I've been with people who shapeshifted. Right? But their personalities. They were completely different people before and after. Are you saying it was a lover who actually shapeshifted?
I can no longer discuss this.
All right.
I don't think he made that up. Hey, they're living among us, guys. We gotta wake up.
This is Michelle Lamy, and I fell into a deep, dark rabbit hole last night, finding out more about her. Michelle was born in the 40s. She is around 80 years old. She's worked as an attorney, a clothing designer, a performer, a producer. She was born in France, but has lived in many places, including New York and Los Angeles. And she's the wife of fashion designer Rick Owens, who is also known as the Lord of Darkness in the fashion community. Michelle actually discovered Rick Owens, and a lot of people credit her for his career. One time, Michelle wore his head as a purse. I don't work in the fashion industry, so there's a lot of things that I probably don't understand, but Michelle is very highly respected among her peers. And many celebrities, like the ones pictured here. Usher, Kim Kardashian, A$AP Rocky, and Kanye West. She has a very distinct style. Every morning she draws a black line on her forehead, and
she's
says
really
she doesn't really have an
special.
explanation for it. She also stains her fingers black. It has been reported online that Michelle got her inspiration from the Amazigh women, who also used to paint on their face. She's also known for having gold-plated teeth, but the rabbit hole that I fell into last night has people convinced that Michelle is a high priestess or witch of some sorts in the Hollywood scene. Now, I'm not saying she is or she isn't, and I simply cannot get into all of the details. The information is out there if you want to look into it, but there's so much mystery surrounding this woman. Like I said, she is highly respected in the fashion and art industries. A lot of people really love her work, and a lot of other people are convinced that she controls a lot of what is going on in Hollywood, and that there's something much more sinister going on, allegedly. Let me know your thoughts.
They are not your thoughts as such, but you pick them up from the collective, most of them. You identify with thinking, and the identification with thinking becomes ego, which means simply that you believe in every thought that arises, and you derive your sense of who you are from what your mind is telling you who you are. Opinions viewpoints of that's me. That's some people talk to themselves and you are, oh, you are so good. Why doesn't the world recognize you? Or the mind says, you're no good. Same thing. You're no good at all. You fail at everything, don't you? And then you believe in it. And then you suddenly have a low view of yourself. Why you have a low view? Because you believed in your thoughts. They're little energy forms, like entities, and they get stuck in your head and don't refuse to go. And the more you believe in it, the more more deeply lodged they become in your mind. And so some people are stuck with very hostile entities. I'm saying entity, not in some spooky way, but every thought is an energy form, and as such, we could call it an entity. And there are many people in this world who are stuck with hostile, life-denying, continuously critical and attacking entities that they carry in their head, and they believe that is who they are. And they are continuously attacking themselves. And if they are not attacking themselves, they attack others around them. Let me tell you who you are. Of course, what they're really saying is, let me tell you who I am. So they project the famous, you know the famous saying, we don't see things as they are, we see them as we are. Which means you look at reality through the screen of your thinking, believing in your thoughts, having no space outside of the movement of thought. Again, here we come to the vital thing, lack of space inside. That is the unconscious condition, spiritually, completely unconscious. And then you are burdened with a heavy ego. You are the ego, which is not an entity apart from thought. It is thoughts that you have identified with. The first moment of freedom comes when you realize that certain thoughts have been going through your head for years, perhaps, and that they are only thoughts, and that you are not the thought. You're the awareness. In my case, I became aware that I had a thought, for example, that started in childhood. One of many negative thoughts I had, bad things always happen to me. Bad things always happen to me. Your perception then becomes selective. When you have a thought like that, you notice much more, because in everybody's life, things, in daily life, things go wrong. You miss a bus, you get stuck in a traffic jam, or you lose some money. But yes, this is normal. But if you have the thought, bad things always happen to me, you're extremely aware of those things, and they confirm to you that the thought is correct. So the reality will confirm to you, and not only that, that thought or any thought of that kind actually attracts bad things, negative things. Just incredible how people create their world through that. So freedom comes from stepping out, encountering, first of all, a little bit of space inside you, presence. And then from there you realize certain thoughts as repetitive and just a thought. Bad things always happen to me. Oh, there it goes again. To become free of ego means becoming free of thought, identification with thought. That's the end of the ego. It may reassert itself from time to time, but at least that's the awakening.